Hey guys, if you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you like this sort of stuff, please subscribe, please drop a like if you like it. If you don't, drop a dislike, obviously. And before you click off this video, because you've seen it's got like 2 likes and like 3 views, just give it a chance, you might actually like it, and you never know, because all big channels start small. So anyway, yesterday I dropped a video about Adler and why I think he's a bad guy, and part of that theory did involve Bell being Case, and maybe potentially having something to do with Harry Stone, the multiplayer operator, and that was a pretty big thing, and I thought that I needed to make a separate video just on that specifically. So I thought, I'd make this video and give it a go, see what it's like. So anyway, here's my video on why I think Case might be Bell and why Bell might be Harry Stone and so forth. So we first saw Bell in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, released in 2020. Like Case, he's a very silent protagonist, and I think that one reason why Case might be Bell is the fact that they make him a silent protagonist, even though there's no actual good reason to. When we saw Bell, the reason that he was a silent protagonist is because you could select the sex and the race of the character. It could be unique, and so they couldn't animate, all different options you could have done. So they just made it so you couldn't see them third person, and you couldn't hear their voice because it could have been anyone. So that makes sense. But with Case, they really do go out of their way to hide him. For example, when you use the RCXD, he's not there. When you ride the one of the robot, I don't know if it's a drone or something, or like a toy car, I can't remember what it was, in the third mission where you save Adler, through the vents, and you look out of the vent, he's gone because they went out of their way to animate a vent that the ridges are at such an angle that you can't look out. They really do go out their way to hide him, and it doesn't really make much sense given that he has a canon name, a canon race, canon sex, all that. So yeah, it doesn't really make sense as to why they do it, unless of course they're trying to make us think of Bell, as if they're trying to make us make that connection, because there is no real good reason as to why he should be so silent and not there. And I say you don't see Bell, you do see him on one occasion. I touched on that video yesterday, that you do see him in that bit where Arash shoots him, and you get to see that he's a Caucasian male. So we know that's the canon Bell, as is Case. So that's one reason why they could be the same person. So with all this, the timeline does also add up, as Bell would have been worked on in the same point of time that Case was worked on, and it seems likely that whether he is Case or not, I think it seems likely that Bell was worked on in Advanced Technologies and Applications, which is the building that you can see playing in this video in the background right now. This mission was set in Advanced Technologies and Applications, which was decommissioned in the 80s, but we know Bell was being worked on here, probably, because that's when Adler was working here, and we know he was working on Bell at that point, so it's likely that he was worked on here, whether you want to say Case is Bell or not, though it does seem likely. And I think it is a really interesting thing, because at the end of Black Ops Cold War, if Adler really wanted Bell dead, he would have left him under the rubble, but he doesn't. He goes back, saves him, and then shoots him. And everyone thinks, oh, well, he shot Bell, that was that. And I did initially think that, but thinking back, Treyarch are careful with what they do. They're not stupid. They do know how to make a good, coherent story. And so that would explain as to why he does go and saves Bell, but then shoots him. Take a look.
We stopped him. Those towers are history. What's your situation down there? Come in. Woods, have you found them yet?
Over here! Give me a hand!
Take my hand, Bell. We did it. This is a message to Perseus, and those that'll follow him. We don't just sit back and hope for the best. We'll make the best happen. This is how wars are won, Bell.
So 1 minute we've got Adler talking to Bell about how wars are won and being a good mentor and He literally saves his life, right? And so it doesn't really make sense, or didn't make sense to me, or at least seemed a bit odd, that the next scene we see with any characters, being again with Ada and Belle, was this.
Arctic air. There's the head, doesn't it? Belle, you made 2 extraordinary sacrifices to stop Perseus. One was without your knowledge. The other, you made that decision of your own accord. I just want you to know that this little thing that's happened with you and me, it was always for the greater good. You're a goddamn hero, you know that, kid. Heroes have to make sacrifices. That's why when I ask you for one more, I hope you understand. It was never personal.
And so seemingly that is the end of Belle, but, well, not according to this theory. It does seem like Belle died, and I genuinely did believe that when it first happened, but now I'm looking at this and it just doesn't seem right. Again with what I said about the rubble, and now with Case. And I also want you to take a look at the background. If you didn't play Cold War, then you won't know this, but that final mission before that scene there was set in Solovetsky, which is in, I believe, it's in the USSR. And there's no mountains like that or cliff sides in Solovetsky, so that's not where they are. Perhaps they're at a lab or something, maybe in the advanced technologies and applications, but I thought it was interesting. When he says, when I ask you for one more sacrifice, yes, they could be referring to the fact he's about to kill him, or it could be saying, you know, I'm going to make you an agent again. Here's what's going to happen, you know, I'm sorry, but this is a sacrifice you're going to have to make. You're going to become an agent again. Another sacrifice, like the one he's made with the brainwashing, could be that. When they released Black Ops Cold War, everyone was talking about the fact that the operator for Belle and the operator for Harry Stone had the same, like, skin. It was the same character model, and that obviously did go with saying, and a lot of people had something to say about it. There were theories, but in the end, everyone did kind of forget about it, and nothing really came of it. But I feel like they would have done that for a reason. It's not like they have a reason to make this one the same character model. Maybe they're being lazy, but I doubt that. It's Treyarch. They always like leaving things. They always like, you know, giving clues and hints to things. So it is possible that I think they were trying to tell us something, but without telling us everything. Or maybe they were just trying to leave it up for us to decide ourselves whether he was or wasn't Belle or Stone, all that. But let's give it Case's Belle, right? If that is the truth, if Belle is Case, that would mean that he was Harry Stone, or he was the Harry Stone of Black Ops Cold War after he had the cradle, after he left Advanced Technology and Applications. I could see, personally, that perhaps after the events of what happened in Advanced Technologies and Applications with the cradle and everything, he was sent as a double agent to infiltrate the communists, you know, the Soviets, as Harry Stone. That could be what he is there. And then in Black Ops 6, you know, we see that, and then he's Harry Stone again, maybe infiltrating Pantheon, maybe actually on the team. Watch my other video, you understand what I mean. And that's him again, because, again, if they just given him the same clothes, given Harry Stone the same character model as Belle, and left it, and that was the only thing, I'd say maybe it was a stretch, maybe they were being lazy. But then they added him again into Black Ops 6, even though he was just a multiplayer operator that really didn't add that much to the story. It does seem a bit fishy, like they're trying to keep us attention on this character. Not too much, but like they just want him always to be there in the background, as if he has a part to play. And if he is Belle, then he might be Case. But he could use that super soldier, yeah, to infiltrate the communists and infiltrate Pantheon or be on their team, or, you know, because it does seem a bit suspicious that they added, not suspicious, but it does seem a bit interesting that they added him twice. And that does go with saying, I think. So, here is my coherent theory, because as I said in the video yesterday, that if I'm to say that this is the theory, I have to have give a coherent theory, one linear theory as a story in canon how this could work, and so here it is. So obviously the story, this theory would start with when they find Bell on the runway. So in the airstrip in Turkey, they find Bell, and they bring him back to advanced technologies and applications to use MK Ultra on him. So the Black Ops Cold War plays out, and so you have Black Ops Cold War, and by the end, when Adler asks him for one more sacrifice, it's because he's going to try and use the Cradle on him. He's going to try and use the Cradle. That's the other sacrifice, and they test him. And so, although Case was apparently supposed to be a volunteer, it could be that Adler just sort of forced him into it, and they said, oh yeah, he's a volunteer. After that, he would have been deployed as a spy to infiltrate the communists in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War multiplayer as Harry Stone. So he's Harry Stone in multiplayer, and that's Bell. That's why he's got the same drip, if you like. But then all of that plays out, and the Cold War ends, and that's when we get to Black Ops 6. And in Black Ops 6, he's working with Troy Marshall and maybe the Pantheon, although I'm not really going to get into that. This is just how he could work as being Bell and Stone. And then in Black Ops 6, he's actually knows Adler, and that's why he always follows orders from Adler, without question, which he does if you watch the campaign. That would make sense as to why that's the case. He's following orders from Adler. He knows about the Pantheon division all the way through. Case does anyway, we know that. And he doesn't spill. So, all that. And by the end of the Black Ops 6, he does survive, then he gets sent to infiltrate Pantheon, or he is working for Pantheon as Harry Stone. And that would explain that. So that's a very brief summary of how this theory could work, and I hope it works. But it would explain a lot of things, because he does feel like Bell. We don't really know that much about him. There's not anything too much that we know about him to say, oh, this is why he can't be Bell. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, drop a like. If not, drop a dislike. And until next time, peace.